This story that I wanted to talk about, I literally saw it right as I was starting to record, and I was like, I want to talk about this because I don't think anyone else is. And if there's anything that this show is, it's brave because we talk about the stories no one else is willing to, and that is that Netflix is developing more video games. Yeah, remember that? You remember, like, I forgot this was a thing until I saw this headline. I was like, oh yeah, I talked about this on this podcast. I don't even know how long, months ago? Years ago? I don't know how long it was. Netflix is doing like a weird venture into game streaming. I think in an effort to shore up their subscription numbers and add more value to their platform, because their programs started getting like cannibalized by the owners of the properties and started getting slapped onto their own like new streaming services. I remember that happened when The Office got taken off of Netflix. That was a Netflix classic. And then oops, now it's on what, Warner? No, what's the Peacock one? What's that Peacockadoodle-doo? Whatever that is. Yeah, so like anyway, this is coming to us from gamesindustry.biz, courtesy of James Batchelor. Netflix taking a, quote, more strategic approach as it ramps up dev partnerships. And now the broad strokes, this is just coming from like a press briefing they put out. The broad strokes of this is that they have some kind of like, so I don't even fucking know what games they have. These are all, okay. So they're trying, it seems like they've been trying to make first party games that like, you can't take this from us. You can't do it like The Office. Like some wounded, traumatized person. So it looks like they've got like a Narcos. There's just like a little spread. There's like a picture here. It's like a spread collage of various games that they offer, and there's like a Narcos game. It looks like is it Game of Thrones? They don't make Game of Thrones, but I don't know. That's as much as I can surmise. Apparently they have 55 games on their platform already. Let's see. Let's just read out the bullet points. So basically the main things is that there is a new game coming, and this seems like the most concerted push from them. There's going to be a new game coming out sometime, I think this year they said, and it's going to be based off of a yet to be announced Netflix original IP. So basically, they're going to come out with a new original show, and it's going to have a tie-in game on their service. That's their big multimedia attack plan. I would be curious as to whether or not, like, I don't know if that's really. I have to mute a Discord channel right now. Hang on. I don't know if that's really like enticing to people. I feel like in order to make that concept work, the game would have to be really good, and or the show would have to tie into it in some way, like actually incentivize. No, but that kind of sucks. Like multimedia properties are usually best, I feel, when they aren't necessary to understand each other. Like, I played this goddamn game 2 years ago on stream called Mind Fighter, and it's a text adventure that's based off of a novella, and it is the most confusing, not like the shit you're supposed to do is I almost want to make a video on it someday. It would honestly just be a lot of the same criticisms that I had of the other text adventures in the DOS Horror Part 2 video. Just way too goddamn cryptic and specific. Like mind-blowing when I learned the shit you actually have to type in to do specific things. Like, why? And in order to even understand it on a basic level, you would have to read the novella. Basically, you have to read a book to understand what you're supposed to do in the game. I can see how that would be a cool concept for someone, right? Like the creator, perhaps the creators, because I think someone, a small team that programmed it, and then like one person who wrote the book. But like, when I play a game, I want to play a game. I don't want to read a book. Even if I'm playing a text adventure, I want to play a text adventure video game. I don't want to read a book. I'm not opposed to reading. I read frequently. I like reading. I just don't want to read now. I want to play a goddamn video game. Same thing with like, if you made a Netflix game, right? That you had to play to understand the show, or vice versa. Well, that's kind of the tough thing, right? Is like, you could do it because most things that are based off of another property, like a lot of tie-in, like kind of just, whatever mobile games, kind of rely on you already watching the original thing. And that's, I think, fine because it's meant for someone who's already into it. But I'm imagining this game being like a vessel in itself to get people interested in the show, like to cross-pollinate, basically. Like, oh, you find out about you play the game, and then you're like, I wonder what's the deal with the show. They haven't really, there's zero details. All that is just that, hey, it's going to be based on a new IP that we're rolling out in I assume a show, maybe a movie. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a show. You could also, I don't know, man. It's like, you could maybe have like a game that is tangentially connected to something in the TV series or something like that. I don't know. There's like a lot of ways that you could do it, but I feel like it's really, if one of them is necessary for the other one, like, they're looking at this already as like a multimedia thing, right? Like they directly call what's the word that they use? Excuse me. Excuse me. Transmedia. The CEO, or whoever said this, not the CEO. Yeah, I think the CEO. Lumbe? The fuck is his name? Oh, her name. Leanne Lumbe. Leanne Lumbe. Called it it's a big bet for us. Okay, here it is, okay. Wait, is this the same thing? I have to make sure this is the same thing, because there's a couple things that they announced. Yes, this is the new thing. Okay. So, Super Evil Megacorp, who is going to be developing a new game for Netflix. Super Evil Megacorp, if you don't know, developed a mobile game called Vainglory, which was it was a MOBA on mobile. And I actually played Vainglory back when it was still around. It kind of ended up shutting down, unfortunately, because of some... They just didn't really know how to monetize it well, from what I recall. But the game itself was honestly pretty fun. It was like a bite-sized, very short rounds, like maybe 10 minutes at most. Small map. It was like a 3v3. Pretty fun character. It was just a solid, bite-sized kind of MOBA for mobile devices. I remember they actually had a guy who used to make League videos called Ciderhelm, ended up being like a design lead on it or something like that, or some kind of dev role. He got picked up because he was pretty good at. He made these pretty interesting like analytical videos on how certain underrated League champions could be played in ways that were very strong, and so I think they picked him up because it seemed like he knew his MOBAs. A thing or two about practical application. So I actually I just based off that one game from them, I used to, have I mentioned this? I used to live like down the street. I used to live in San Mateo. They had an office literally like 2 corners from where I lived. It was really weird. Like, I just walked past there. I was like, oh, they're right there. I never got a job or anything with them. I think they were, because I didn't want a job. I couldn't handle a job in high school. But, yeah. Also, I was like fucking 15. They're not going to hire. Anyway, I have a decent amount of faith that they can put together something good. Where did she say? Right, yeah. So, of today's announcements, Lumbe hints that the Super Evil Megacorp title is a particularly important project. The studio's CEO, Christian Siegerstrahl, told press that while he could not share more details about the game, it will be team-based and feature the sort of fluid combat the developer has become known for, with vainglory. And then, quote, it's a big bet for us, and we're very much focused on creating an ecosystem around the streaming content and the game. It's really a transmedia play for us in this brand new IP. And that, I think, is an interesting sentiment, because most times when you see like a mobile game of whatever, right? It's usually like it's really more of a marketing thing than it is a part of the core product, if that makes sense. Like when you're when you're making action movie so and so, you want to make a movie, and then to promote the movie you make a game. This seems like they're kind of like the same thing. We would like to make a show and a game in one, and it's going to be part of like one kind of core product, if that makes sense. Also, the fact that it's a multiplayer game from Super Evil Sem from Sem, who like with combat in it is interesting, because when I imagine like a lot of these games tend to be kind of catered towards, I guess, a more casual audience, towards more like an audience doesn't want to do like big combat stuff, right? Combat games. It's an interesting play to me to then want to pitch something to like a casual audience of normies who something like a MOBA, which I don't know, I'm just assuming, right? Let's just say it's a MOBA. That's weird to me. It's an interesting play. Will it work out? I have no idea, because we have no details other than that. Because obviously you get Super Evil Megacorp because you want them to make a team-based thing with pretty good feeling combat, which is what Vainglory had. It's a real shame that game got shut down. It was pretty good. There was a couple other things. Monument Valley and the sequel is going to be added. There's Ubisoft is making games for them. The Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, I think. It's getting a Netflix exclusive spin-off called Mighty Quest Rogue Palace. So there's exclusive games on this service. And it's really funny because like it seems like they're going all in on it, but at the same time, this is probably the first you, the listening audience, is ever hearing any of this. Like where do you even play these things? Where do you play these games? I'm thinking like I haven't used Netflix in a few years until kind of recently with Kat putting on a bunch of shit for me, a bunch of nonsense, and like when we were just watching it on like her TV, she had like the TV app for Netflix. I didn't even get the impression that they had games. I guess maybe it wouldn't be compatible with... I could see it not being compatible with a television, but I think it's like not even an ad or something like, hey, check out the mobile app and play some cool games. Something like that. Like, this thing has, this whole arm of the website, of the service, has not been marketed at all, I feel. Like, no one has heard of this. I'm the only person who's heard of it, and it's because I actively look for news stories that'll interest me in gaming. I mean, this is a article on gamesindustry.biz. Do you think the regular person, the regular gamer, your everyday gamer, is reading gamesindustry.biz unless they get like linked to it or something like that? Oh, it has Into the Breach. Interesting. What game? Into the Breach, Spiritfarer, Immortal. What games does it have? Netflix games. What's their library? Available games. Dust and Neon. They got a League of Legends spin-off game, which I've never heard of. Something called Hextech Mayhem. Point P. I don't know what Point P is. There's like a little bird-looking character. Anything that I would know. There's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Kentucky Route Zero. Really? That's interesting. Oxenfree. I'm just like games that I've heard of. Obviously some Stranger Things games. 12 minutes. Really? Valiant Hearts Coming Home. This is more than I was expecting. I mean, there's a lot of just like a game called Knittens. And it's a match 3 game with kittens and yarn. And it's just, that kind of thing. Matching games like, the casual mobile kind of what you'd expect. Yeah, Spiritfarer, something called Immortality, which I guess this Reddit comment says is really good. Into the Breach. There's some weirdly it feels like it's so weird. It feels like someone cares. That's what's really strange about it. It feels like somebody here cares about making this service have actually kind of a decent lineup of games. I guess maybe there could be a little more. There's a decent amount of variety, actually. Maybe there could be a little more heavy hitters, but I don't know much about it. A lot of these are just like really casual, just kind of whatever games. But there's like there's some like legit like decent games on this. I imagine this is what's weird to me, right? I was gonna say it feels like there's someone working on this who actually cares and wants to actually secure titles to add value to the service. But then the management itself almost sees it as like a tax write-off and doesn't even care, right? And like part of that, but then I think, wait, how much are they going, like, why would, this is so much effort to go through for just like a tax write-off? Like, what was the plan here? If you just marketed it, most people probably have Netflix. If the games are free, are the games free? No ads, no extra fees, no in-app purchases. Huh. It's all pretty alright. Included with your Netflix membership. Yeah, it's just a fucking game streaming service you get with if you pay for Netflix. Weird, right? And no one's talked about it. Games are saved per profile. Yeah. Interesting. Hey, maybe if you have Netflix, check out Netflix games. If there's something you want to play, you could play Kentucky Route Zero. Or Oxenfree. Or 12 minutes. It only takes 12 minutes. It's not going to take you that long. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know how well the service performs. I have literally never heard anyone talk about it besides me. Oh shit, that Point P game was made by the people who made Downwell. Hey, maybe check out Point P then. Yeah. Yeah, there's just Weird. What a strange case. A service that actually seems like it has some effort put into it. It seems like they're actually trying to get good games on it. It's a game streaming service. It's small. It's kind of compact. And they are refusing to advertise it. I feel like Google did this exact thing with Stadia. No, actually Google tried to advertise it. It was just extremely unappealing because of the way they had it set up. I feel like this feels like this makes way more sense because it's just, as long as everything is, I guess, because, you know, Netflix is on so many different platforms, it could be kind of tough to make it compatible, but I guess on mobile might not be too bad. I mean, if you just, yeah, I guess you could just download Netflix just to play the games. Yeah, maybe, yeah, huh. Interesting. What a strange story.